let's go into the building. As you can see, the construction slowdown has hit this plant. Typically, we have 225 laborers in our plant. Right now, we're down to about 50. And that is because of the construction industry slowdown. We have, I think it's 19 or 20 acres. The question is, do I think the demand for employees will increase? Yes. In the construction industry.
Anytime soon.
Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. We just hired a construction management graduate from ISU this week. I do think it will come around. It has to come around. And unfortunately, all the monies that have been going out right now for our infrastructure that we've had through what they call the stimulus program has gone out for asphalt.
Yeah.
Bridges will catch up with that. But the thing that triggers everything is housing. When they start building housing, that means there's money out there for people to start buying that stuff. When that happens, the little stores open up, everything else opens up.
Are they collecting as posts?
Yes, those are concrete posts instead of using steel beams. So they're matching the same paint on those things and they'll slide right down those pieces. Okay, test number one. What's it? What kind? This is what's known as epoxy-coated rebar. This is standard rebar. Standard carbon steel, nothing else. They dip this in epoxy coating on it, and the epoxy coating is supposed to prevent rusting of the steel and popping and deterioration of the steel. You either use epoxy coating or galvanized.
How does this epoxy coating affect the bonding to concrete?
There have been many studies on that, and they're continually going on. The question is, how is the bonding affected by the epoxy coating? Some people say that the bond is to the epoxy coating versus bonding to the raw steel that has all the fins on it and everything else. That has fins, but it's coated with a plastic. So what does a concrete bond to? That's a question that people such as your professor are evaluating, because right now, folks, we have bridges, we have brought beams back into our plant that are over 50 years old. Bridge beams that have used rebar and stuff like that. We break them open and the steel is just like this. Not epoxy coated. It's raw steel and it's not rusted and it's not deteriorated. So a lot of your universities are studying, is this the way to go? Is that the way to go? Hot dip galvanized.
What's the difference between galvanized and
This is, remember, this is a coating.
okay,
They take the steel that's like that, they take it and bring it up in sheets and then dip it in a vat, and it's chemically reactive to like a, what's in galvanizing? It's a magnetic charge, an electrical magnetic charge that pulls the coating right to the steel. This is just like paint.
How about the new types or relatively new types of steel that doesn't rust in the mix itself? When they prepare it, not coating or galvanizing, but the mix itself, the mixture of the steel itself doesn't rust inside, outside.
Typically, we're seeing some of that. We're going to be doing a parking deck in about a month, and they're specifying stainless steel connectors. Now, stainless steel connectors, they go about $8 a piece for a little piece of steel that's about like that. Very expensive, but stainless steel does not rust. Stainless steel doesn't have any reaction back into the concrete. When this stuff starts rusting, it actually causes the concrete to split around it. It actually causes cracking of the concrete because it's a chemical reaction with whatever's in the concrete and the steel. That's why they put epoxy coating or galvanizing on. Little building over there. Hope to God we never have to use it. It's a tornado shelter. And we laugh, but you know what, folks? every summer you look out over that field there and you can see funnel clouds dancing across the field.
I thought that's a torture.
No, it's not a torture chamber. It's a tornado shelter. If we just look around the corner over here, remember this is the precast operation on this side. It has its own batch plant over there. Own aggregates, own sand piles, everything else that goes into concrete is self-sustained right on that. That services this side of the plant. So you see that big hopper that's over there? That's another batch plant that handles the pre-stress part. Typically in the pre-stress part is inspected by the state of Illinois. So they have all sorts of different requirements, pre-stress versus precast. Let's go inside and get you out of the cold.
I have a question.
Yes.
So those green, the epoxy coated rebars are like when we have construction on the highway. Are those the that they stick like out of the ground?
Yeah, when you see like in bridge construction or port in place, you'll see these green bars coming out of it. That's exactly what you're seeing. When you see it, when they cut out a section of the highway, and you see all the bars laying flat, that's what you're seeing.
So when are the other ones used?
Galvanized.
Yeah, the galvanized.
The question is, when are galvanized used versus epoxy coated? We use galvanized because when you use epoxy coating, if you're handling it and you pick it up and you tear that epoxy coating, you have to physically come back and repaint it with another epoxy coating. So you imagine I'm paying somebody X amount of dollars an hour to sit here with a little brush painting all the cracks that's on that epoxy coating. Galvanized, that doesn't happen. It's all a matter of money.
Okay, so
Galvanized is more expensive than epoxy coating, but you can handle it and it's a lot more forgiving.
but it's used for the same thing.
Same thing.
Okay. What are these things?
These things here are a product that's called step wall. It's a retaining wall system. It's a patented system, and we are the licensees. There are 2 licensees in the state of in the United States. We're one of them. It's a bin wall, retaining wall here. If you're trying to hold back dirt, what you do is you step those samples up and fill the insides up with what they call porous granular fill, which is nothing more than let the water run right out of it. This will keep your embankment from going like this. It's called a retaining wall. These are the forms for that retaining wall.
Pretty much a large version of landscaping.
Yes, yes.
Eerily quiet.
Remember I showed you those flat panels out there, the ones that look real smooth? This is a high-end plywood, probably 3/4 of an inch thick, but what happens is there's always seams when you put plywood together. This is an epoxy coating that levels out all the seams, and you can pour this and it'll give you a flat, smooth finish.
Applied kind
Pardon?
of polyurethane on it. Is that
Yeah,
right?
well this is actually an epoxy coating. You can feel it how smooth it is. This is a standard form liner. Remember the ones that we saw where they're painting them out there? This is what I told you we use a high-end form liner. This stuff, as you see it right here, costs about $50 a square foot. And what you do is you affix this. As you can see, it's affixed to plywood, and then it's got rabbet joints on the plywood that put it together like this and holds it tight. And then we caulk the joints if we see any seams, and then you pour your concrete on this, and then you strip the concrete away. Typically when we make sound walls with 2 sides on them, we make them inside a vertical form. What you're looking at here is this piece here. Don't be afraid. As you can see, these are those wall panels that you saw from outside with form liner on both sides. What they do then is they close this form up to whatever thickness you want. They pour the concrete from the top down, and then On the sides of the forms, in this track and this track up here are vibrators.